A, which is the MOU for the Child Development Center transition. President Vitelli?
Yeah, both parties have agreed on this, recommending that you all adopt it. It would take effect July 1st. Essentially, it transitions the employees from daily contracts to what's in alignment with everyone else in the district, 8.5 or monthly contracts. So this cleans up a whole slew of things. If you have technical questions about it, I'll have VP Avila explain anything beyond what I just said. So, but it looks pretty straightforward, and it really does boil down to them being on the monthly contract versus the daily.
Right, and we just heard from Angelica telling us about this. Okay, what is the pleasure of the board as to this item?
Move to approve. Second.
All right, well, we have a motion by Trustee Gutierrez and a second by Trustee Pedroso. Any questions or comments on this item by members of the public? Okay, seeing none, bring it back to the board. Any questions or comments by members of the board? Yes, Trustee Chappelle?
I'm so happy that you are keeping child development in your minds, and that child development workers are probably one of the lowest paid people on the planet, right? And that you checked up on them and got them what's rightfully theirs is wonderful, and I appreciate your work as the CSEA union, because I love all those people. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that comment. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all right, and at this point I'll call it for a vote. Student Trustee Cowie, how do you vote? Aye. Thank you. Okay, Trustee Pedroso, how do you vote? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next is, for action item is 10B, the electronic billboard project. We heard about this last week. President Vitelli?
Yeah, we brought this to you as an information item at the last board meeting. You may recall Stephanie Dietz came and presented on behalf of the group that is putting this together. We've met as an executive team. We got positive feedback from you all at the last board meeting. So bringing this back as a formal recommendation to approve the attached agreement. It also would delegate authority to me to revise, finalize, and execute it, but none of the actual terms will change. We'll just get it into our proper format, but all the numbers are presented as is and would stay the same as far as the contract goes.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments by members of the public on this issue? Well, I guess first I need to call for a motion. So, all right, we have a motion by Trustee Pedroso. Is there a second? Okay, Trustee Benson. Are there any questions or comments by members of the public on this issue? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Any questions or comments by members of the board on this? Trustee Gutierrez?
Just a clarification. The voting screen popped up, so covered my.
You can cross it out in the little corner. Well, there's a little X.
Okay, so it's saying that it popped up again. Anyways, we're going to get a percentage paid back from this company, right? Is that immediate, or did I see that it wasn't going to be for about like 7 years or something like that?
The payments back to the district are estimated at a rate of $31,000 per year. That'll start in year one. No, I'm sorry, I'm getting that wrong. That's the rate per year. We'll actually get a maximum of what, Joe, per year? The 120?
112,000.
112,000. And so then it's estimated to pay off in 7 years, but we get the payments through the full duration of the contract. So for another 30 years after that, we'll bring in revenue. But it takes 7 years to pay it off.
So from after year one, we'll be getting this return.
Correct.
112.
Okay. Yep. Correct.
That's all. That's all I have.
Trustee Joe?
I do have another question for clarification, and it is, I like the numbers, I like the return, I think it makes a lot of sense, but before I vote on this action item, I'd like to kind of get an idea of what our expenditures look like right now on other similar advertisements such as freeway advertising.
Yeah, Jill sent, it's hard to say because it's not always apples to apples, but she did send us that at the last, after the last meeting. I believe it was between 30 and 40,000 total on an annual basis.
In 2 years, about 87,000. Yeah, so about 47,000 a year.
It's not always the same each year, because according to how much dollars we get for marketing from the state or for outreach or re-engagement funds, we've spent more or less. And to be frank, there's not a ton of electronic billboards, and so if there were, we probably would be buying more of those ads because, you know, right now we do the static ones, and sometimes.
And really, it's the inventory of billboards is really, really hard to get and try to get.
The inventory is really hard. It's difficult to get a billboard that is in a good location. I mean, you probably know this.
Oh yeah, I've experienced that myself, yes.
Yeah, so we had a billboard on 99. We don't have that one anymore. But it comes, you know, it comes and goes depending on what our budget is. That amount that I just gave you is what we spent between June 2021 and July 2023.
So Jill, all those contracts on the current billboards are all expired?
All expired.
Okay.
So, another question, the billboard itself, is it gonna be on 99?
It is, it's on the 99, basically on the edge of Atwater and Merced in between.
It's right by Teasdale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know where it's at.
So it'll be visible on both sides. Trustee Gutierrez coming south and north on the freeway.
Correct.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah.
Yeah, one last question. What's the ETA on this again? And when do we have to commit to the agreement? I mean, I know we're committing to it today after a vote, but when is, I don't think construction has started, right?
No, from what I understand, the owner of the property's already started down the permitting process, but they're waiting to see what partners are at the table. They haven't started it yet, but from what I've been told by the high school district, who's already committed to it, they committed to it last month at their board meeting. They want to get started as quickly as possible.
All right, any other questions? So I was a little bit skeptical of it, you know, when we heard about it last month, and so I did a little bit of research. I met with President Patelli to get an estimate because, you know, it felt really kind of not pie in the sky, maybe billboard in the sky, and I just wanted to make sure that it was, you know, legit. But I did some independent research into it, and I think it's, you know, pretty safe. The return is really good, and it almost sounded like it was too good. But, you know, I think the guarantee feels sturdy enough that I intend to support this. I was kind of worried at first about taking on an expense this big when, you know, you hear about the budget and the uncertainty, and I'm thinking, are we taking on too much right now? But I know that these dollars come from different sources, and we need to continue to invest. So I'll just say that I, you know, wasn't completely enamored with it at the beginning, but I think it makes financial sense for the college. So, any other questions or comments on this?
One last one.
Yes, Trustee Gutierrez?
Well, trustee chokes over here. After we're done with the initial investment, after the repayment back after 7 years, then all that is basically profit. Do we know where we're gonna allocate that, or is that too early to tell, or do we have flexibility with that down the road?
There'll be fully unrestricted dollars, so when those dollars start coming in, that's something that we'll include in our budget proposal as assumed expenditures. It can also go into the foundation, so we'll have some decisions to make in 8 years. But they'll be 100% unrestricted, which is nice.
If there's no further questions, then I'll call for the vote. Student trustee Cowie, how do you vote? Thank you. Trustee Pedroso, how do you vote? Thank you. Yes. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. At this time, we're on agenda item C, renaming of the vocational building. President Mattelli?
Yes, so one of the many projects that's happening on campus right now is the vocational remodel. Vocational is an outdated term, and it doesn't fully represent what most of the building will be dedicated to. So we put a survey out to students on a couple different options. Mainly what will be housed in this building are classes and programs related to the School of Business and Economics. So similar to what we have in the Allied Health building, where it says School of the Lackaretti Allied Health. That's what we're recommending to put onto the building. We would put on the building School of Business and Economics and refer to it in our schedule as the Business and Economics building. Of course, one day, we'd love to have someone's name on it. So a little shameless plug for the foundation there, but until then, that's what we're recommending as the name.
All right. So first, before we can comment, we need a motion second on the side. Okay, we have a motion by trustee Chappelle. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second by trustee Benson. All right, so at this time, it's, before we bring it to the board for comments, it's time for public comments. And so I know we have at least one comment.
Hello, it's me again. But this time I am speaking on behalf of Professor Caitlin Serpa. So she says, good afternoon, Board of Trustees. I would prefer to be in person, but I am in Texas enjoying the eclipse and my sabbatical with family. This letter is regarding agenda item 10C, renaming of the vocational building. I am your full-time economics professor, and I was faculty lead of the business and economics cohort last fall when the naming of this building was brought to our cohort for our opinion. We were given suggested names to choose from. After some deliberations, we decided on the Business and Technology Complex as the best choice to represent so many different majors and certificates housed in one building. This name is in line with the long-standing structure of this cohort. Only very recently, over the objection of myself as the sole economics professor and the objections of the entire social science cohort, economics was redesignated and moved to become part of the business cohort. Due to the controversial nature of the move, I was assured this decision would be reevaluated as events progressed. Despite the reassurance that this unwanted move was still being evaluated, last spring, under the protest of the business cohort, under my protest, the business cohort was renamed School of Business and Economics, and the discipline of economics was added to the robust offerings of the business cohort. Economics has traditionally been housed with her fellow other social sciences in the social sciences cohort, which is the norm for CSUs and the UCs to which the students with economic degrees will transfer. I did not support the move of economics from the social science to business then, and I do not support including it in the renaming of this Voc building now. When economics was moved, the business cohort has many other majors that deserve the attention and name recognition encapsulated in the name our cohort chose, which is again the Business and Technology Complex. The majors and certificate programs of our cohort include accounting, administrative office management, business administration, court interpreter, economics, entrepreneurship, management, marketing, office occupations, real estate, virtual office. As you can see, economics does not deserve to stand out from the many programs offered by this cohort. Again, I ask you that you respect the wishes and recommendations of the faculty housed in this building and vote to rename it the Business and Technology Complex, which is more inclusive of all of the majors and certificates being taught. Respectfully submitted, Caitlin Serpa. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comment. Any other questions or comments by members of the public on this issue? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Trustee Chappelle?
So mine was along the lines of Megan, I think. Megan, is that your name, Megan?
Yes, that's my name.
Yeah, that's your name. Megan brought up the concern that I had, which was, well, whoever she was writing, speaking about SERPA, there are a lot of other really important people that have been housed in the vocational building besides economics. What's happening to the foods program?
Yeah, let me provide some clarity on this. What was reported actually isn't 100% accurate. Back in, and I'm going to turn to a few folks, what did we originally vote on these schools of for guided pathways? It was in 2018, 19?
It would have been 17,
Okay.
16 before I left.
Okay, so in 2016 and 17, the state started asking us, and they gave us substantial dollars to implement guided pathways. And guided pathways basically required all of us to create what they were calling as meta majors. So we want to make career pathways and educational pathways very specific for students. This isn't about faculty or where faculty are housed. This is solely about what's best for students. So in 2016 and 17, Academic Senate worked with a subgroup to identify our schools of. Economics was always a part of the business cohort for the schools of. So when they voted on this back in 16, 17, economics was a part of that. Unanimously, from what I understand, it was accepted as a part of those guided pathways. If it wasn't unanimous, it was pretty darn close at the time. What Caitlin Serpa is referring to are cohorts, and that's more of the organizational piece. That's where, in our contract, we have cohorts of faculty. Last year, we, as it says, there was no false promise that it would be reviewed. It was a part of the resolution the Academic Senate passed years ago that said that it can be reviewed by the curriculum committee anytime. That's just part of it. Again, making sure it's what's best for students. So last year we convened a group of schools up because not only did we have about 6 or 7 years of data for the schools up, but we also had a desire to align our organizational chart with the schools up. So if we're going to best serve our students, then we should align organizationally. What Caitlin was upset about is that she was no longer going to report to the Dean of Social Sciences. She was going to report to the Dean who oversaw Business and Economics. And the School of Business and Economics did not actually change. It stayed the same as the 2016 recommendation. Her reporting changed. Every comment that was made by Caitlin and those who supported her was about her reporting, not what was best for students, not what was the students had voted on as what they recognized for business and economics. I'll also make it really clear that since we have moved the schools up, we have worked really hard to brand those because that's also what's best for students. They need to be able to identify what their pathway is. And so that's why essentially we went down this path. Their school is not called the School of Business and Technology. It was never recommended to be that. That never came up in the 2016-17 recommendations. It did not come up last year. In fact, the task force, I believe, voted 18-2 to accept the schools of alignment last year. Again, the entire curriculum committee voted on it. They accepted it as is. The only two that dissented was one of the child development instructors, because they didn't want to move to the School of Education, and Caitlin Serpa for economics. And to quote her, she did not want to leave her cohort of faculty. But it did not align with what students had voted on or faculty had voted on for years. And in 2016 and 17, to my knowledge, as the sole economics instructor, she did not oppose it at the time. It was only when it was time to start reporting to the dean of the school level when we made those alignments that she didn't want to move from her social science cohort. We understand and respect that she enjoys her colleagues. We want people to enjoy their colleagues. I think that's really important. But we're all in the business of doing what's best for students. And students voted on this. The faculty have voted on this. And yes, the other programs in the building have predominantly moved. So the food programs move into the new Ag Innovation Center. That kitchen moves there. There are some computer labs in the vocational building that are related to admin office technology and some other computer. We even have a music class that's in the vocational building. But to give it its brand, the majority of the programs in there, all the business economics faculty will be housed in there once it's remodeled. And all the lectures for business and economics predominantly will be in there like they were before. So this aligns with everything that we've been working towards in the School of. And unfortunately, I think this is more about trying to move economics back to social sciences, which at this point the data doesn't support it. The majority of students who take economics classes, vast majority, I want to say it's close to 80%, I'm looking at Mike because he was on the task force, the majority of students who take economics classes are business majors. So that's why we have this. It is totally grounded in what's best for students. And as much as we love our employees and we want them to be engaged, we should be making decisions based on what our motto is, and that is students are our focus. And that's why this decision was made, and that's why the recommendations are in front of you. You bet.
Any other questions or comments? So even before I heard this comment, I can tell you that this new name sounds really impressive. It sounds like, you know, like a big, you know, sort of, say, big girl or big boy school, right? So I like it. Now I understand the distinction between whether it should be housed here or not. That's a separate issue. This is just about identifying the building this way. Okay, all right. Okay, any other questions or comments on this issue? Okay, well at this time, it is time to vote. Student Trustee Cowie, how do you vote on this? Thank you. Trustee Pedroso? All right, thank you. All right, so motion passes. Next we are on action item 10D, 2024 Triple CT board nominations. President Vitelli?
Yeah, the subcommittee met. These are the recommendations for the voting for the Merced Community College District by the subcommittee, and I'm sure that one or all of you can speak to this, but we're recommending you move forward with this list of nominees, and we'll submit it on your behalf.
So before we can engage in discussion, there needs to be action. So what is the pleasure of this board? Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Ochoa and a second by Trustee Benson. Are there any questions or comments on this item from members of the public? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Questions or comments on this item? Trustee Chappelle?
I really like that you picked from the Central Valley, good job, committee, subcommittee, and that you have quite a few women representatives. And from small colleges, and one from Compton, that's great, Barbara from Compton. I think you did a really good job. Yosemite, Sequoias, small little colleges need to be represented. Siskiyou, I don't even know where that is. So thank you for taking that job on, good job. And Kern County.
Yeah, well,
Do you know these people?
I do. So Nan Gomez Heitzberg from Kern is kind of a heavy hitter in the Triple CT. So I was glad that the committee chose to support her. And I'll tell you, because I got the opportunity to serve on the subcommittee, and some of the issues that affect other regions like Southern California, the Bay Area, are not the same issues that affect the Central Valley. And so if there's not more representation of colleges that are either in our region or whose student makeup reflects similarities to ours, then it's hard to get any kind of leverage there. And it's not that we're misaligned, it's just that the issues are different and they're weighted differently. So we were happy that there was this much interest by colleges that were in the Central Valley and colleges that were smaller that might have issues that were similar to ours. But we were looking at this and we're like, okay, well, now we have, Kern County and, Yosemite and Sequoias and Merced's there, and there's, it's good leadership emerging. So I was glad that this is a slate that we're presenting. Any other comments? Any other comments?
Very well said, Board President Ramirez. It's exactly what I wanted to say.
I read your mind, Ernie. Okay, all right. If there's no further questions or comments, we'll call for the vote. Student Trustee Cowie, how do you vote? Thank you for that. Trustee Pedroso? Thank you. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. At this time, it's agenda item 10E, resolutions for California Community College Month and Black Student Success Week. President Vitale.
Yeah, this is both of these resolutions you all consider each time this year. As always, we have several activities to celebrate some of the resolutions that you all pass. We've put some of those in there and we'll continue to keep you posted, but it's our recommendation that you adopt and approve the two resolutions as attached.
That's great. All right, we have a motion by Trustee Pedroso. Is there a second? Second by Trustee Ochoa. We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments by members of the public on this issue? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Any questions or comments on this issue? All right, well, this is great. Both things are important to me, so I intend to support this. Student Trustee Cowie, how do you vote? Thank you. Trustee Pedroso? Okay, thank you. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, next agenda item 10F, second reading of board policies. President Vitale.
The attached policies came to you all last month. They've all been vetted, and most of them are regulatory compliance, but it's our recommendation you adopt the changes as presented.
What is the pleasure of the board on this issue?
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Trustee Gutierrez, second by Trustee Mendoza. All right, any questions or comments by members of the public on this issue? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Any questions or comments by members of the board on this issue? I think I may have said this before, but the Triple CT spends money on having lobbyists and people who really monitor these things and lawyers that can keep up with these, so I encourage the board to support this. Student Trustee Cowie, how do you vote? Thank you. Trustee Pedroso? Thank you. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Now we're on informational items. Agenda item 11A, 2024 ACCJC Annual Report. President Patelli?
Yes, each year we are required to submit a report to ACCJC.